more, I'm joined in the studio by Head of Emerging Tech at the Consumer Choice Centre, James Czerniawski. Tell me your interest in this area here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is something that I personally care about very deeply, because it's impossible to look at this as not really much of a solution by PM Starmer, but really just wanting to reinforce a culture of control. If you're looking at a digital ID, this is really an ability for the government to go and monitor people in ways not previously possible. And it's just something that fundamentally goes against what we would have here in the United States. So I think that that's something that raises a lot of alarm. It's not a surprise that we've seen a lot of scrutiny from President Trump and others in the American continent here against this kind of a program, whether it was with the Online Safety Act or other kinds of measures around the globe.
Why don't you have a digital ID in America? I mean, in terms of the technocrats swimming around the edges of this government, and there are a few, you would think that it's only a matter of time. But is it the principle of a government should not have that much control over your life?
I think that there's a lot of factors that are involved here. There's definitely going to be a branch of people that are inherently kind of worried about government overreach of what could happen here. I think that's entirely valid. I also think that there are technical limitations that go on with programs like these. One of the go-to examples that people like to talk about when they're saying like why this is something that's good is like Estonia is a government that has a lot of digital innovation in this space, and they do this kind of a program. But can't help but note that Estonia is a country of only 1.3 million people. The UK, over 60 million people. The United States, over 300 million people. So there's a scale issue that gets involved here that creates a privacy issue, because all that data is going to get consolidated into a database, and in an era where we have increasing cyber attacks, that is just ripe for opportunity. That's going to present all kinds of things like identity theft, let's say, for example, of people's most sensitive information. And it's already a struggle right now. If you go this step further by creating this digital ID card, you're just asking for more trouble.
Do you have any idea, James, about Estonia and how the citizens of Estonia find it? Is it helpful to them?
Yeah, I think that it's something that they have liked, but again, it's on a much smaller scale. You're talking about 1.3 million people. They use it, and I think it's like very effective for like voting and getting access to government services. And there can be some positives to this, but I don't think that that means, especially when we have a government, let's say in the United Kingdom, where we saw through the Online Safety Act people getting punished for their speech. I think that that's a very real concern now. If you have this hard identity that's getting linked to you digitally, that can go and follow you around everywhere, right? So that's the key difference.
You see, people will say, and I understand this. I spoke to my parents earlier this evening, and they are, in their 80s. My father's nearly 90. Yeah. He doesn't own a smartphone. Yeah. He wouldn't know his way around a smartphone. And that's okay. Like, that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to go out with a smartphone all the time. What happens to those people who aren't connected to the internet in this world?
I think that that's a very valid problem, and that's something that even I think is a challenge here in the United States, for example. This has been part of our issues with connecting people to the high-speed internet, more broadly speaking, in the United States, is that you look at the rural parts of the country, there's a lot of people that aren't looking to get into that kind of a lifestyle, and that's their choice. And you shouldn't have the government going and forcing that down on them, which is what I think brings in this conflict, where you have civil liberties organizations and individuals like myself that say, hey, if you want to have something that's voluntary and people want to go and experiment with that technology on the margin, by all means, go for that. But to have a compulsory thing from the government that's going to say you have to go and show ID, papers please, if you will, to go and carry on with your life living in society, that's where you're going to have a lot of pushback. I'm
genuinely shocked that Starmer is coming out in the next 12 hours or so as we sit here to say this will be mandatory. I always thought, having watched this situation very carefully for at least 5 years really for me, I was convinced he would try this on more vulnerable members of the population first. I don't know, maybe the low pay, the benefits, people on benefits, they will have to have it to access. He's gone all in. He's going to say, you've all got to have it, no ifs, no buts. And I think he's probably pushed too hard.
Oh yeah, 100%. In my view, I think that this is a bridge too far, and we already saw a lot of reaction. I know Neil
Oliver.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of people that have been certainly opposed to this right off the bat. And again, it's not a surprise. This is a bridge too far. You can't just go and expect people, again, when we're so fresh off of the scandal that was the Online Safety Act coming partially into force, where we saw, all these people getting arrested for posts online. And again, it's just a government that is hypocritical against itself, where they're talking about a proud history of free speech with Donald Trump one week, and then here's the same country that's arresting 30 people a day in the process.
And just explain to me how people, because people will be sitting going, I don't understand what you mean by that. Like, how is whether I can get a job or not connected to my free speech?
Because again, I think that when you have a hard identity that's getting linked to you and you're moving around from place to place, the government now all of a sudden has a hard identifier that's linked to you. And if you're going and moving around, let's say with geolocation data, it's on your phone. If that's getting connected to a live government server, they can go and track where you're going around every single day. It's already bad enough that the UK tried demanding from Apple to have backdoor access to their cloud software, but now imagine that they can just do it directly because they have that local thing in your device, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's talk to, thanks, James. Just stay with me. We're going to